Welcome aboard Tristan and Tommy's Runaway Railway. For your safety, please remain seated and enjoy the show.
Welcome to Please Remain Seated, the theme park podcast hosted by two theme park enthusiasts that work for the industry in Orlando, Florida. Today we have some Universal Orlando construction updates, including to Epic Universe, which opens next year. Have a roller coaster name change over at Carowinds, some Disney updates, and the permanent closure of a legendary roller coaster, and of course some amazing Epcot history with Tristan. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a while since we recorded, so we're glad to be back.
Yeah,
We were able to schedule this one pretty last minute. I shot Tommy a message,
yeah.
and probably late last night. And I was like, "Hey, you want to record tomorrow?" We were like, "Yeah." So here
Heck
we
yeah.
are. Excited to be here. But let's hop into it because we got some juicy news. There's been a lot.
Yeah, we got some juicy news. Tristan, you got some stuff about Epic Universe?
Yeah. So the big Epic Universe announcement video came out a few weeks back.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what triggered this news item for me
Oh my God, we
personally.
never talked about that.
Yeah, I don't think we've recorded since then.
That's great.
I think that came out like a day or two after we recorded our previous episode.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you right.
so the rough opening is summer of 2020. Excuse me, sorry, summer of 2025.
hmm
Um, Exciting stuff.
hmm
Got here that's going to be the largest Universal Park in the United States, second largest Universal Park in the world. I think Beijing, if they have something there, was the number one biggest
Okay.
Universal Park in the world. I don't remember. It's in Asia for sure.
hmm
Um, and the different lands that are going to be in Epic Universe are going to be the Wizarding World, the Harry Potter
hmm
portion of the park, the Super Nintendo World, the How to Train Your
hmm
Dragon Land, and Dark Universe, which is the
Yeah.
monster. For our YouTube visual watchers, my dog just laid down to go to bed behind me.
Oh,
Um, we're a little
all
3-year-old
right.
beagle Olaf, so
So
we
sweet.
should definitely check us out on YouTube so you can watch Olaf sleep.
Yeah.
Perfectly framed. Um,
hmm
Anyway, so yeah, the Dark Universe is going to be the Universal Monsters area, and I kick myself for not remembering the name of their entrance. Um,
Celestial Park.
yeah, Celestial Park. So the
Yeah.
interesting thing about that and the concept art is it's similar to Disney's hub and spoke design, where you're going to go in and everything's going to branch off from there. It's the first Universal Park to do that. Um,
hmm
but it's not so much a little street that ends in the middle. It looks like Celestial Park runs almost the entire length of the park,
hmm
and it ends with the hotel that's going to be in the very back.
Yeah. And it has its own attractions in Celestial Park as well.
Yeah. So very interesting way to do that. So I think that's kind of cool and innovative. New way to lay out your park a little bit. So yeah, summer 2025. I mean, that's coming up is just over a year away. The only other interesting thing that I only found out about today when actually looking at where Epic Universal will be situated compared to the rest of Universal is that it's an entirely separate plot of land.
Yeah.
Um, even further south than the what's it called, Endless Summer or
Yeah.
Summerland Hotel or whatever it is,
Endless Summer.
Endless
Yeah.
Summer. Even further south than that, they said it's actually about 15 minutes away
Yeah.
from the rest of Universal. But they're going to redo this road that connects it, and they're going to put a fleet of electric buses that will run in between them. I think I don't remember if I heard that the Harry Potter train is going to be
No.
expanded to Mars. Yeah, I can't imagine logistically that would work.
No. No.
Um, but so yes, the and do you remember what specific part of the Harry Potter universe is going to be in Epic Universe? Was it Fantastic Beasts?
I believe so. I think it's going to be taking place in Wizarding Paris,
Mm,
which is, I guess, where Fantastic Beasts was taking place in. But I think the ride that they're working on is supposed to be connected to like Harry Potter
mm.
somehow, at least their main ride for that land. Which in their announcement video, I think they like said they don't want to reveal any information yet because they're really excited about it. So like teasing a really big surprise with it.
Oh, that's exciting. That's exciting. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be state of the art, awesome park. So, and
Yeah.
I think you mentioned something about coaster trains being tested.
Yes. So Universal just like officially announced the name of the lands and like a few ride names. But I've been following Theme Park Stop on YouTube. Alicia Stella has done incredible videos showing photos from Bayou Reconstruct on Twitter of like the construction progress. I've been following that for like the last 2 years or so, just seeing how the park has been coming along has been really incredible. And two of the roller coasters have already been doing like full cycle testing, which Starfall Racers being one of them, which is their big dueling coaster. And then also their family spinning coaster and Dark Universe, which I don't think they announced a name for it. I think it's rumored to be Curse of the Werewolf. Those have been testing. Uh, I want to say the Yoshi Omni Mover, People Mover in Super Mario World may be testing, or at least some of the vehicles have been uncovered, and like photos from BioReconstruct have shown that. And then ride vehicles for the Donkey Kong coaster and the How to Train Your Dragon coaster have been appeared on the track as well. So they are like, there's still a lot of theming and construction to do, but like they are really moving along nicely. Um, and other things that they haven't announced, but according to permits, because Alicia Stella is like, she's like shown the photos and compared stuff with permits as well. Supposedly the ride in because there's two rides in Dark Universe, I believe, the roller coaster, the family spinning one, and then a dark ride that's supposed to be like a Kuka arm style ride similar to Forbidden Journey. Um, the castle ride at Islands of Adventure, like that type of dark ride system, which is really unique on its own. So having like a new version of that, like set in Universal Monsters, like that's gonna be, I'm very excited. Like this park is gonna be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Super excited to see that. And then personal Universal news. I finally got a Universal annual pass again.
Heck yeah,
After
let's
a
go.
little bit of a hiatus. I upgraded to the Power Pass. So
Heck yeah.
a little bit less blackout dates on there.
And
And
if
I
you want
think
to,
half off parking. So
yeah,
yay.
if you want to carpool with me, I got the free parking one, so let's go,
Ooh,
bestie.
you know
Yeah.
how to sweet talk me into a date.
Heck yeah, let's go.
Absolutely. So well, transitioning out of Epic Universe, but
Yeah.
still staying in
Yeah.
the Universal universe. Um,
Yeah.
what's going on over there with DreamWorks?
Yeah, so, I want to say at least a year ago they had closed their Kid Zone officially to finally retheme it, and they recently announced it's officially going to be called DreamWorks Land. And what they've announced for it so far, they announced the Trolls roller coaster, so it's going to be it's a retheme of the Woody Woodpecker roller coaster. Hop on to the Caterpillar Catterbus on this family-friendly coaster. You'll join Poppy, Tiny, and the twins Satine and Chanel. Sorry, I don't know their names as you try to make an escape from spooky spiders. So that's going to be the roller coaster. You also got Poe Live, so Kung Fu Panda, meet and talk with Poe on a digital animated screen. He'll train you in the ways of Kung Fu while babysitting his mischievous baby cousin and cooking some delicious snacks. Skadoosh. I want to say it's going to be similar technology to like Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor and Turtle Talk with Crush. So that should be really interesting. Otherwise, it's just a screen. But I mean, if they make it interactive, I think that could be a really cool thing. And then, of course, Shrek Swamp Meet and Greet. You can now meet Shrek, Fiona, and Donkey outside of Shrek's cottage. You can see like the giant thing like over the construction walls of like Shrek Swamp. So it's really cool the way they're modernizing it, like giving it like more modern IP. Shrek is, I mean, Shrek is 20 years old at this point, but he's always going to be popular. Like I feel like they've been moving around his meet and greet in that park for a while, but like it always gets, a crowd. And then Poe Live, that's going to be cool. And then, Roller Coaster.
Yeah. Um, Excellent. Very good. I that's going to be exciting to see. I'm kind of bummed they got rid of that donkey meet and greet, that was
Yeah.
I think it was near the 4D show that they got rid of
Yeah.
because that was so funny.
Yeah.
That was just such a funny thing to see. But
Which I know, I imagine it's going to be there, but in this other form.
yeah, I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah.
Um so we're hopping out of there and we're going up to your neck of the woods in this country. What's going on up at Carowinds?
Yeah. So, kind of a minor update. So, two Cedar Fair parks, Carowinds, and actually King's Dominion, they both had roller coasters, Intimidator and Intimidator 305. It had like a NASCAR Dale Earnhardt theming, but apparently their NASCAR license expired. I don't know if anyone even realized that it was happening. Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion, I think they haven't officially announced what they're retheming it to, but at Carowinds, they renamed it to Thunder Striker. Um, and I'll be honest, I don't really like that name, and the logo and everything looks really cheap and kind of last minute. I don't know. I feel like this kind of sprung out of nowhere a little bit. I even asked ChatGPT, what would you rename Intimidator? And literally one of the names it came up with was Thunderstrike. Um, so
Wow.
so did they just ask ChatGPT for names? Um, I mean, it's still an amazing ride. It's one of my favorite roller coasters. It's a B&M Hyper. You can't go wrong, 230-foot drop, full of airtime hills. It's an amazing ride still, but that name change, I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't know. Seems weird. I don't know what you're talking about, but I agree with you.
Yeah, moving on to Disney.
Disney. Yeah, so Soarin' in the constant changing of what Soarin' is, whether it's Soarin' over California or Soarin' around the world, Soarin' over California is saying goodbye again.
Yeah. I feel like Disneyland, they get the overlay more often, but here in Florida, we really don't get it often. They gave it to us this past September, and it just went away at the end of February. Tristan, did you get to do Soaring Over California much while it came here?
I have not at all. In fact, I have no memories
Oh,
in my noggin of riding Soarin'
dang.
California at all. Now, I'm sure I have as a kid because I
Mhm.
think during a couple of my
Yeah.
trips it was Soarin' over California um, at Epcot. But no, I've only like every time in recent years being the last like 7 or 8,
hmm
it's been Soarin' around the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I made sure to get a few rides on it before it disappeared, because, they said it would be around for the 100th celebration. And the 100th celebration at Epcot was only supposed to be from September to December through December last year. So I figured it was going to be disappearing pretty soon. But when it wasn't going away this year, I thought, you know, oh man, maybe it might even last through Flower and Garden. And I remember, like, I was talking to a manager who works over in the land, and he had like, and granted, they know just as much as we do when it comes to these types of things, but he had a theory that they were going to keep Soarin' over California until Epcot's construction could finish, because, like, you know how the end of Soarin', it like flies over Epcot, and but it's like an old footage of it, so he theorized that they might try to wait till n- it was fully open with the new, what's it called? That's not open yet, that they're building over
Communicore.
Communicore Hall and Plaza. Like, they
Mm,
were gonna wait till that was finished to film a new thing. I mean, obviously he was wrong. Soarin' over California is back now.
mm.
But he actually did also tell me that Soarin' over California did see more guests than Soarin' around the world did,
Oh,
which I thought was pretty
interesting.
interesting. And I mean, granted, it was coming up during the holiday season, so that could have potentially had an impact on it. So I don't know if he was comparing it back to years past numbers or in general, but I'd believe it, because I feel like there's a lot of nostalgia for it. I feel like there are some people that overhype how much better it is, because, like, I think it is slightly better than Soaring Around the World, but some people are like, oh my God, it's so much better. Like, I think Soaring Around the World is a lot more CGI focused than Soaring Over California. So I think, even though the film of Soaring Over California looks older, like, I think that's what gives it an extra touch.
Yeah,
So,
I would agree.
like,
And
really cool footage.
what you just said about what that manager must have been telling you sparked an interesting thought in my mind is that sequence of the last shot flying over Epcot is 100% CGI. If you
Yeah,
actually, I mean, even when some of the things in that existed, you can tell that's not really. I mean, it just simply doesn't make
yeah,
sense. A Fountain of Nations being there and there's no
hmm
parking lot and it's like
yeah,
um, all this stuff, but it would be interesting to see if maybe they. Well, wait, is Soarin' over California like officially gone already? Has Soarin' around the world come back?
yeah. Soaring Around the World is back.
Oh, okay. So that actually answers my question. My question was
Mhm.
maybe when it reopened, they would actually have added the complete Communicore in based on what they think it's going to look like, since it's all CGI anyway. But so that is actually leads me to my next thought of, well, are they going to update it now once Communicore opens? Because and obviously, I mean, if Fountain of Nations is still in that last shot, then that's
Mhm.
super gone. I mean, that whole area of that half of
Yeah,
Epcot is changed now. So they're going to have to
yeah,
update it eventually to make it look like it does now.
yeah. And I mean, considering they didn't have to close the ride for any period of time to transition from California to around the world, they can easily just open it up one day with the updated finale, and
Mhm.
no one would bat an eye. Um, you know,
Personally, I hope they do that
yeah,
because it makes me sad every time I see Fountain of Nations because I thought
no,
the Fountain of
I
Nations was awesome.
yeah, no, I agree.
Okay, interesting stuff. Yeah, yeah. Soarin' Over California. I'm sure it'll be back for some other thing
Yeah,
sometime.
yeah.
Hopping on over to the Magic Kingdom though, finally have a little bit more specific of an opening date for Tiana's Bayou Adventure this summer
Yeah.
2024. Um, which I don't know that if that's going to happen or not yet, but that is what they're saying, and I think that would be phenomenal if it was to open
Yeah.
that quickly with how long Disney has taken to make things.
Yeah. No, I'm surprised. That's what I was thinking too. Because I mean, it did close a year ago and it's a ride retheme, but like you said, the Disney takes has been taking a long time with construction recently. So the fact that they said it was opening this summer and not like this winter, I was like, what?
I know, and I gotta say this is one thing I'm actually super excited for. Um,
Mhm.
just to bring up the fact that I just told you I've never even ridden Soarin' Over California
Yeah.
in my memory banks. Tells you that I'm not necessarily always 100% on riding the rides.
Yeah.
But in this case, I am very much excited for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And I've said it in all of our previous episodes, the music from Princess and the Frog is phenomenal.
Mhm.
It's going to be so much fun. It's going to fit in that ride very well. And the Tiana
Absolutely.
animatronic that they have released video footage of looks really cool.
Yeah, no, that animatronic looks absolutely incredible. So I really hope they do all the other scenery justice. Which, yeah, speaking of the music, like I think they said that it was going to be original music for the ride that wasn't in the movie, but like, man, Gonna Take You There would be so perfect on that ride.
Mm,
Like,
mm,
honestly, that song would have worked perfect on the original Splash Mountain. No one would have noticed.
yeah.
Like,
So,
going down the bayou, it says the name of the ride in the song. Like, just just throw it in.
yes. So that's super exciting. And that'll be good over there. It's going to be interesting to see if any other parts of Frontierland changes. I know that's been a lot of word. Like, how can you put in a Tiana attraction without opening up the Tiana's Place restaurant? So, there has been rumor, and I don't know how logistically feasible this is, but rumor that Pecos Bills could become Tiana's Place.
Yeah,
Maybe. I don't
yeah,
know. See, the thing with that is Pecos Bills is already like a super busy, popular spot to eat in Magic Kingdom. So I really don't know
yeah,
if closing that would be ideal. And would it fit in with the rest of Frontierland? Because Pecos Bills is basically the end of a Western street. What you'd
yeah.
imagine like a Western street to look like with a saloon at the end. Um, can you really change that to New Orleans theming without completely screwing up the rest of Frontierland? So,
Well, because like I think a part of the rumor, and again for those listening, this was all just rumors, and nothing about this is official. Because there was rumors that with the Pecos with a Pecos theme, because at the D23 they were talking about doing a Beyond Thunder Mountain expansion, so Beyond Thunder Mountain would be like a new Frontierland.
hmm.
So like they would because like they would change current Frontierland to Louisiana, but then you still have Big Thunder Mountain, would still be on its own. But if they want to expand, that can be a new Frontierland beyond Thunder Mountain.
Yeah. Yep, that's actually a good thought, so that could work.
Yeah,
Would be a heck of a lot of changes to the Magic Kingdom, but
yeah,
no, maybe it's time for it. So,
we'll see.
staying in the Magic Kingdom, but hopping onto the opposite side of the park over in Fantasyland. Some construction permits have been filed for something going on in Storybook Circus. Speculation is that this is actually going to be the Smellephants on Parade, which was announced in July of last year, apparently. However, this is the first I've heard of it today. Um, Now, Smellephants on Parade is going to be an interactive experience. In this experience, cast members in the area will provide guests with an instructional map and sticker sheet and I guess some sort of a Timothy Q. Mouse figure, animatronic, something or other. I don't really know. Will then announce to guests what the point of the attraction is, and that is to go around and find different scented statues that will be
Hmm,
interactive in some form, and I guess kind of a scavenger hunt-esque thing. Um, but it sounds like there's going to be some interesting technologies involved with it.
that's cool.
So that'll at least add a little bit of more interesting things to do over in Storybook Circus
That'd be
or
cool.
Story because there's really not much going on over there. I feel like that
Yeah,
the park really doesn't pull a lot of people over. But except for like little kids who want to do Dumbo or the Barnstormer. So that'll be an interesting thing going on over there in Storybook
Specifically, the playground and the queue of Dumbo over the Barnstormer.
Circus. Absolutely. So I don't know, that's kind of interesting. So there is no opening date attached to that. It was only announced in July of last year, so 8 months ago or so. Probably going to be a little bit before we see anything come of that. But however, this attraction is going to be sponsored by Scentsy, I guess, and it's some sort of scent company that now sponsors a lot of stuff going on at Disney. Um, and there's already signage posted around Storybook Circus that says sponsored by Scentsy, and cast members have begun telling guests that the Smellephants are coming. So they are kind of
Smell.
preaching it a little bit, kind of advertising it. So
Okay,
could be
that's
soon. Who
fun.
knows? Who knows?
Excited.
But hopping on over into the middle of the park, Magic Kingdom, Main Street USA is getting some new costumes for their cast members, and I thought this was very interesting. You can go on the Disney Facebook page or any social media and see photos of it. Instead of just traditional costumes, it seems like, from what I can gather from the pictures, that there maybe cast members might be able to choose different costume pieces or something like that that are
That'd be
exclusive
cool.
to that time. I couldn't gather the information on whether the different costumes in the picture are for the different lines of business, merchandise, food and beverage attractions, things like that, or if it's just anyone can wear any of these costume pieces, kind of like the citizens of Batu do over at Galaxy's Edge. You
Yeah.
can kind of mix and match costume pieces over there. So I'm interested to see what that really means. But however, I actually think it's kind of a nice, refreshing thing that will be in the Magic Kingdom, because the cast members that wear like the red vests and the white shirt underneath and the black pants, are like, well, that doesn't really seem like, I don't know, turn of the century Missouri to me, but but
Yeah.
those old costumes that are in the picture, they seem more old fashioned to me, and I kind of like that vibe. So
Heck yeah, that's cool.
yeah, well, just something fun they're doing over there. Um, Okay, so now we're going over to some of the drama with the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District, which I'm getting a lot
Uh,
better at um, saying quickly.
in my
Another board
notes, I
member.
put Central Florida Jamoke. That's all I wrote
I'm gonna,
for
you know
this
what? I
note.
think I'm just gonna say that. Another board member of the Central Florida Jamokes Association uh, has become the
You're
second
getting
board
so
member
good.
to quit since it has become the CFTOD, uh, including much of its senior leadership. Over 30 employees have now quit in less than 1 year of this whole switcheroo. So I guess a lot of people are just jumping ship because it's kind of just a burning train wreck, I think.
Yeah.
As we've talked about in previous episodes, I don't think this was a well thought out move. This was more just a power play. So now many people are dealing with the consequences of someone
Yeah.
emotionally reacting. So I don't know if you have anything to add to that. We've kind of beat that horse to death, I think, but still. Um,
Yeah, it's annoying. I don't I feel like I don't have too many thoughts. Did we cover how Disney lost the Supreme Court co case that they were suing the governor?
I think so.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
forgot if we talked about it on the show or not,
I
but
don't think it's completely dead in the water yet, though. I mean, I think last I heard, they're still trying to do something. They're at least appealing, but who knows
yeah,
if that's gonna
yeah.
do anything. But for our final piece of news, I will let you have this one, because a beloved roller coaster is going through
The
something.
yes. Yes, so legendary coaster Dododonpa in Japan, known for being the fastest accelerating roller coaster in the world, 0 to 112 miles per hour in 1.56 seconds. Um, for a frame of reference, Rock and Roller Coaster is 0 to 59 miles per hour in 2.7 seconds. So very fast. It initially closed in August of 2021 because from December 2020 to August 2021, there were 18 injuries sustained while riding Dododonpa, which included incidents of nine incidents of broken bones. So they had closed it down for investigation, and it had been standing but not operating ever since then until this month, where they finally announced that they are closing it down for good. Uh, Very upset that that is a bucket list roller coaster I'll never be able to take off. Similar to Top Thrill Dragster, although we're getting Top Thrill 2, and I got to do King Ka at least. Um, but, maybe they shouldn't have broken their bones. I don't know.
Should have been drinking that calcium milk, have them stronger
Dude, drink more.
bones. My
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah, I mean, if Universal can make you
Yeah.
put your stuff in lockers and walk through metal detectors, I think they should have required their guests to drink milk for several weeks before going to their park.
Yeah, exactly.
The
And I
same
mean, what
thing.
that ride was operating for however many years it did without any broken bones, and then
Hmm.
sometime after 2020, everyone decided to break their bones.
Come on, come
So,
on.
so that's annoying, but
That is an inhuman acceleration, though. When you said that to me just now, I
yeah,
was like, how do you even hold? Like, I would pass out probably. That's
yeah,
insane.
that's. I feel like you would accelerate so fast that you don't even process that you're accelerating.
Yeah.
Like it's just 1 second you're sitting in the train, then the other second you're just going that fast.
I honestly can't even imagine.
No,
And I guess
me
I never
neither.
will be able to, but
No,
um, okay. Well, I'm very sorry to hear that, Tommy.
you know,
Yeah.
it's the price
But
I pay for liking roller coasters, I
I
guess.
know. I know they take away things that us theme park enthusiasts, we
Yeah,
become attached to things and then they get torn to the ground. So part of life. It's the circle of life. Um,
yeah,
but jumping out of things getting torn to the ground and jumping into things that got torn to the ground or simply were never built, we're going to talk about some tristery. And this is our short little history lesson about the Epcot that never was. So I went back and I just basically did some research on things that either never opened or opened in some weird capacity for Epcot. So we're going to jump all the way back to when Walt was still alive and his ideas for Epcot. So in the 1960s, it was apparent that Walt Disney was interested in urban development, specifically to depopularize the urban sprawl of the United States in favor of more carefully planned and designed use of infrastructure, transportation, environmentalism, and efficiency. Now, this is
very
something
ahead
that
of his time.
yes, exactly. I mean, he was, and this is something that I wouldn't say passionate about, but I agree with because living in Central Florida and seeing like 192, for example, where a bunch of people and companies just built as much as they can in that tiny space on that little stretch. And it makes traffic kind of difficult sometimes because you have a stoplight every 100 feet and you've got a million people turning every which way because there's every fast food restaurant, every restaurant, a mini golf stores, gift shops, everything you could imagine thrown into this little area. And you can tell that it wasn't carefully planned out, right? If it was
Yeah,
carefully planned out, traffic would be easier, the roads would be set up better, there wouldn't be a million stoplights in like 1,000 foot radius. Um,
yeah.
so the
Which
fact that Walt was, I like that he was caring about this.
no, for sure. Like I actually saw a TikTok earlier today that was talking about like they were showing examples of poor suburban planning where someone's house was like literally maybe a quarter of a mile away from a grocery store, but because of like the way there was dense woods and the way the roads were set up, they would have to walk or drive at least a mile and a half to get to that grocery store, but they could just simply put a freaking walking path, but or bike trail. So
Yeah. It's one of those
things
things
like
that,
that. Yeah,
people don't think about that. They just want to build
yeah,
whatever they're going to build wherever they're going to build it. And that's it. Cause money.
yeah,
So Walt was concerned about that. Originally named as an acronym for Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow, Epcot would consist of a city center featuring a 30-story hotel and convention center, recreation facility, shops and restaurants of different cultures, and a transportation lobby where guests could either board the monorail that ran north-south of the entire length of the original proposed Walt Disney World property, or the People Mover, which would take the guests or residents to the residential areas of the community. To get more visuals about this thing, watch the original Epcot film. It's about 30 minutes. It's on YouTube. Hugely fascinating. I've watched it like 10 times. It's just so
yeah.
interesting to see what they
Really
were trying
cool.
to do. Um, these residential areas would include houses, schools, parks, and cul-de-sac style roads connected to a perimeter road that circled the community. In between the residential houses and the city center would be a high-density apartment housing. Residents living in the community would have the opportunity to be employed in the city center, the theme park, the welcome center, the airport, or the industrial park on property. If you look on the overall original map, um, of what Walt called the Florida Project, all of these things are in there. It's hugely different. The only thing that's still roughly in the same place as it would have been according to Walt's plan was the Disneyland style theme park, which became the Magic Kingdom at the very
Yeah.
northern end of property. Um, the original entrance to property was actually supposed to be where the ESPN Sports Complex is, and just south of 192 was going to be the airport, um,
Oh
which
wow.
is right there, which is I think actually where Celebration is now. Um, yeah, 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 yeah. Walt was also interested in having some sort of weather-controlled dome over the city. We're all smiling right now here in Central Florida because that's not a real thing, but some people think it is. Uh, However, not much information is available on what Walt's specific plans were for such a thing. Of all the things shown on the original Disney World map, the only familiar features are the Magic Kingdom, which I just spoke about, the Shades of Green golf course. There was going to be a golf course roughly in that area. Um, and the shores of Bay Lake. Bay Lake was an already existing lake on property, and that's the lake that the Contemporary kind of sits on, the Wilderness Lodge in Fort Wilderness. Um, the proposed airport, welcome center, industrial park, Epcot community, and several proposed resorts would never come to fruition. Let's see. Okay, so the film I mentioned on YouTube is about 25 minutes long, and it's actually narrated by Walt and written by Disney legend Marty Sklar, who passed away about 7 years ago now. He was one of Walt's biggest Imagineers. The short film was shot 2 months before Walt's death and wasn't presented to Florida legislatures until February of the next year. So this didn't see the light of day, this film, until several months after Walt's death. It was one of the last things he
Dang.
really did.
I
Uh,
actually didn't know that.
yeah, it's kind of a fun fact there about that. So after Walt's death, master planner Marvin Davis was talking with Walt's brother Roy about moving forward with the Epcot project. Marvin was always the man who could turn Walt's visions into a reality, having been the main master planner for the layout of Disneyland. I actually just listened to a podcast about him the other day. And later, many locations around the Walt Disney World Resort. He was desperately trying to incorporate Walt's wishes into the Epcot project, but when expressing his ideas to Roy, he was met with the sad truth: Walt's dead. Roy knew that without Walt, these ambitious ideas were unlikely to go anywhere and that the company would be moving away from the city Walt had envisioned. Even after plans were in place for the Epcot Center that would open in 1982, plenty of ideas would still never come to fruition. In the Germany Pavilion, a boat ride was announced as early as 1976, which would travel down the Rhine River and see many of Germany's classic architectural buildings built in miniature form. I think about this in my head as like the storybook canal boats in Disneyland, how you kind of go through and there's
Yeah.
miniature villages and things like that. I don't know if that's what it would have been like, but it makes it seem like it was. Um, Interesting where the large mural is now next to the beer garden restaurant. There used to be
Yeah.
a large wooden doors that would have led into the attraction, and those doors were there for a long time. At some point in the mid to late 80s, the doors were covered up and the mural was painted over its place. So they were, I mean, it was at the point where they were planning this was going to be built. They built the doorway to the attraction.
Yeah. That's so crazy to me.
Mhm. Yeah, so that was a big boat ride that never came to be, and now simply nothing fills that space. All right, over there in Japan, in the Japan Pavilion, plans were in place for a Mount Fuji roller coaster, excuse me,
Um,
which was inspired by a prior plan for the Matterhorn roller coaster uh, to be in a Switzerland pavilion. Now, it is widely believed that Disney never received funding for this attraction, as one primary sponsor for Epcot, Kodak, would not want the name of its biggest competitor, Fujifilm, integrated into the park because it was going to be on Mount Fuji.
mm,
Another lost idea for Japan was the bullet train attraction, where train cars would be situated in a variation of the Circle Vision Theater and allow for changing views of Japan. Think like, we've all been to a Circle
yeah.
Vision film. I guess they were going to put train cars in the middle of that and let you look out the windows at the screen, something along those lines. Um,
Interesting.
I know that would have been neat to see. Additionally,
Mm.
another attraction heavily inspired by the Carousel of Progress, titled Meet the World, wouldn't open in the pavilion as well. The show explained the history of Japan from the perspective of two children, and the stage would rotate to new scenes while the audience members stayed stationary. The theater was logistically complicated, and there was fear that the obvious absence of Japan's role in World War II from the show would upset American guests, which I agree it probably would have. um, Another unrealized Epcot pavilion was going to be the great moments at the movies, which would have taken guests behind an intentionally built, fake looking Hollywood film set facade. The entrance to the pavilion being a small ticket booth in the center of the facade. Um, this is going to be an indoor attraction going through the most famous movies of all time, but never came to be due to the fact that then CEO Michael Eisner decided that an entire theme park could be built around this idea. And the pavilion developed into the Great Movie Ride, which would open as the centerpiece of the Disney MGM Studios park, now Disney's Hollywood Studios. And you knew I was going to fit the Great Movie Ride in there somehow.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Mhm. Oh yeah.
So, I mean, that's just some of the stuff that really never came to be in old school Epcot. Obviously, in recent years, we can talk about the festival center or that weird event center thing that was going to be built around where the ice cream thing is now, kind of behind the Canada Pavilion or in between Canada and what was Future World. I don't even know what it's called over there anymore. The Play Pavilion is something that never came to
Oh
be.
yeah,
These are even recent things that never happened. I
yeah,
mean, one thing was I think they actually announced at one point a hotel was going to be built in front of Epcot, and Epcot was going to have its own resort, and that also just never got talked about again.
yeah.
So,
Now you
um,
got the Epcot area resorts, but
yeah, you got them back there, but this one
International
was going to
Gateway.
be on the other side of the park. So I don't know.
Dang.
This is interesting stuff there.
Yeah.
Epcot, lots of history there, obviously. But it's an interesting thing to look at all the things that never came to be. There's also other pavilions that were never built that were rumored to have been built. Russia being one of them,
Mhm.
Brazil or some South American country being one of them. But I didn't have enough time to include all the pavilions that never happened, more just specifically the attractions that were announced and even somewhat built but never happened. So
Yeah.
thank you for going along with this Tristry lesson with me. And
No, no,
Tommy, do you have
absolutely.
anything to say?
No, man, I'm always down for a good history lesson, especially if it's about Epcot. Epcot being my favorite park. It's like, I know I have mixed feelings because like World Showcase is like my favorite land now, but growing up, my family never wanted to do it because like, oh, there's no rides, it's just shops and restaurants. So, it would start and end in Mexico and Norway, and now you do have a ride in France. Um, so like it makes me feel like a lot of people miss out on the World Showcase because there isn't, a lot of rides or whatever. Which, maybe that's could potentially be for the best because it's already crowded with the festivals and stuff. Um, but anyways, um, I don't really have much other thoughts. I know earlier when we were talking about Epic Universe, I brought up the Theme Park Stop YouTube channel. Highly, highly recommend subscribing to them. Alicia's videos about the construction progress at Epic Universe are phenomenal. So get excited whenever I see Theme Park Stop uploaded a video. So yeah,
Follow on social media, Facebook, X,
yeah. Oh
Instagram,
yeah,
subscribe on
follow us
YouTube.
too. Yeah, follow us too.
Yeah, support our show, please. You can donate to our show for as little as $3 a month. Click the link in the bio to find out how, and check out our Not Safe for Work comedy podcast, Two Useless Organisms, if you have adult ears. That's all I got.
Yeah, yeah. I don't have anything else either.
Please remain
Uh,
seated and pull on the yellow.
yellow strap, pull up on your lap bar.